All right, here we go. We are getting so close to being done. We're covering chapter 14. And typically, we do a business presentation in the course as a group. With this particular group, we're not doing that because of time constraints and different things that we have going on. But for most groups, we do a business presentation. So just wanted to, because we're not going to be doing that, as always, you can get to these slides on your own. So I'm just going to go kind of quickly and try to hit some of the main points that I think would be on your last exam. Want to start by the importance of business presentations and having good speaking skills. In any career, it is going to help you be successful. It's usually, in fact, one of the number one predictors of your success and how mobile you are in your company and how you can move up in the company. It's one of the most desired soft skills. We've talked a lot about soft skills in this course for job applicants, and so sought by in job applicants. So that's something to definitely think about and to consider. So when you say, well, I just don't like it, I don't like talking in front of people, and I get that, and there are people that have legitimate stage fright, but that is something that we want to continuously strive to overcome because of how important speaking in our careers is and how effective it can be and how much it can help us. Lots of different types of business presentations. Not a lot of questions about this on the specific exam, on the last exam, but I do think maybe one. And when I'm doing the review, I'll make sure I point that one out. But take a snapshot of that, go back and look over those different types in your text. Of course, with anything, just like when we're writing, we need to know our purpose before writing. We need to know our purpose before giving an oral presentation. What am I wanting to accomplish? What am I wanting the take home for my listeners to be? I need to know my audience, okay? Just like I would analyze my audience before writing, I'm going to analyze them before presenting orally. I'm going to ask myself and think about how are they going to react? What kind of benefits can I focus on for my audience, and I want to take time to actually analyze them. I want to think about how I want to deliver. What kind of style do I want to use? How do I want to organize what I'm going to say, where that will be the most impactful. I want to be able to, I want to have credibility. I want to earn credibility so that they will believe and buy into what I'm saying to them and what I'm conveying to them. And how can I make those key points that I'm wanting them to take away? How can I make those effective and really make them remember, what I'm trying to say? So with a presentation, you're always going to have an introduction. This is where we're going to grab the audience's attention. There's a lot of different ways that we can do that. And then we always want to do kind of like here's what I'm going to say. So we want to do a preview of our main points. Then throughout the presentation, we say those main points. And then at the end, we're going to remind them. And we are redundant on purpose because it is a scientific fact that the more you say something, that there's a better chance that people will remember it. So we say, hey, here's what I'm going to talk about. Then I talk about it, and then I remind them about what I talked about. So that happens in the introduction, that preview of your main points. And then we have the body. We're going to focus on just a limited number of points. You can't take too long or you're going to lose your audience. So you got to limit it to how many, what you think are the actual main points that you're wanting to get across. And make sure you're using a really good order, like chronological order if you can use it is good, maybe even order of importance you could utilize. And then we get to the conclusion where we again summarize what our main points were, leave them with a main takeaway if you can. And you always want to be able to leave the podium gracefully. I know a lot of you have probably been watching a presentation before, and at the end you weren't sure if it was time to clap or not clap. Are they done? Are they not done? And if that's the case, they've not done this last point here very well. You want to end in a way that people are very aware that you are done, you are concluded, and whether that's bringing them to a point of asking questions or whatever that may be, but you want to be able to leave that podium gracefully. Build a rapport with your audience. Make sure that you by previewing like we talked about, a good eye contact, good facial expressions, giving them a story that kind of relates things to you, using metaphors, a good analogy, statistics, those types of things all help. and visual aids help. Now, there is a process to making good visual aids, whether those are presentations or PowerPoints or whatever the case may be, handouts, but you want to make sure that you're putting quality things up there. The purpose of a good visual aid is not to do it for you, though. And so you got to make sure that the visual aid only emphasizes your main points. It's helping people to retain that information. It's to help the audience to be a little more interested or to remember or jog their memories or help to jog your memory as you're working along. But it should not be something like a PowerPoint slide that you just literally read off of. That is a big no-no. So we're going to use 3x3 writing process just like we would with anything. Analyze our audience in phase 1. Then we do our research, we organize and draft, and then finally we put it to, after we have things put together, we're going to go back and revise, proofread, and evaluate, and make sure things are the way they need to be. There's a 7-step process here to a nice multimedia presentation, how to build that. So, if you need to, pause, take a picture of that, utilize that if you want to. This is a big thing. They talk about this on the exam. I know there's at least one question. How do you deliver an oral presentation? Do you memorize it? Do you have lots of notes and read from that? Or do you do what we call extemporaneous method? And that's the one you want to use. It's kind of a combination. You want to memorize like your first few lines so that you can really make some good, clear eye contact and really begin to build that rapport with your audience. So you're going to memorize those first few lines so that you can have that ability to make eye contact. And then you can glance down at notes after that, but you never want to just read from notes. So we want definitely that extemporaneous method going on there. I told you for sure stage fright is it's real. It's a real deal. But there are ways to kind of cope with that and work yourself through it. Here's a list of things that you can do to help yourself with that. One of the biggest things you can do is being prepared. So before your presentation, make sure you're very prepared. You've timed yourself. Make sure you're dressed for success. There are certain poses that you can use before that will kind of help to build your confidence. Make sure you rehearse. Be there early. Make sure your equipment is right. Check the room out, greet people as they come in. There's a lot of things you can do beforehand to help you. During, make sure you're pausing. It's okay to pause and don't fill it with a vocal pause. Be excited about what you're putting forth and then they'll be excited. Don't apologize. If you mess up, just keep right on moving. Know when to pause. Make sure you're controlling your voice. Be very natural. Don't be robotic. Don't just stand there and not move at all, though. If you can, use verbal aids effectively. Make sure you're summarizing those points like we talked about. And then after, hand out your handouts. Distribute those handouts. You don't ever want to do that before because it'll be a distraction. Always make sure you reinforce your main points at the end. And then make sure you keep control throughout and at the end, and definitely in your question and answers. Let people know I'm only going to take 3 questions, or I'm only going to take questions for about 2 minutes, or whatever the case may be. And be kind of picky about the kind of questions that you're taking. There's some good information here about knowing how to present in different cultures and across different cultures. So you're going to want to take a look at that. And then there's also a couple of really nice slides about doing a collaborative presentation, like working with teams. Again, sometimes we do that in this class. This particular semester, we're not doing that in this class, but good information and stuff well worth looking over. Again, when I review, if there's anything specific in there, I'll let you know. And then last few slides on how to make a really good phone call. I know that sounds kind of funny, but you would be surprised at the people that do not know how to do good phone calls, and that can really make or break you in the professional world. So sometimes you might need a little mini agenda. Know how to leave a really good phone voicemail so that you get what you need back. They use a 3-point introduction system that's really good. Make sure you're able to bring it to a close the way that you're supposed to. And then there's some things here that kind of help with that and being professional that you're going to want to look at, making sure you identify yourself immediately. Make sure that you practice confidentiality. And then some more things about smartphone use that you would want to look at, and what to do on the receiver's end. Don't overuse voicemail, but you can allow that to be a tool for yourself. On the caller's end, be prepared to leave a message. Know what you're going to say beforehand so you're not kind of like a deer caught in the headlights when you hear the voicemail pop up. Okay, so that's chapter 14 quickly. If you have any questions, please reach out. And